Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, I'm here with my friend Aarron, which is one of you guys. He's a fellow viewer out there that actually reached out to me a little while ago. He said he wanted to, get interviewed and talk to you guys about, well, living in Mexico. He's been living in Mexico for a while and he makes a living in Mexico. And I thought that you guys might find his story interesting and everything about him, So, again, I'm just going to let him do the talking. We're going to interview him. And I hope you enjoy this interview in this kind of format. Please let me know down below in the comments what you think, of this interview, this type of format, and if you want to see more or don't. And if you have any questions for Aarron, I'm sure he'll answer them in the comments and all that good stuff. So, all right, let's get into it. So, hi, hi, hey, Aarron, how's it going?
Very good, Jose.
Awesome. All right. So, who are you, and where are you from originally in the USA? And how did you end up in Mexico? Do you mind, just letting everybody
Oh,
know?
no problem. First of all, it's nice to talk to someone who was also born in Miami. Uh, I am originally, I lived 40 some odd years in Boston, Massachusetts. I was born in Miami, but I lived most of my life in Boston. I came to Mexico in January the 25th, 2012, after deciding that the United States was no longer the United States. And I have a feeling you might have a similar idea of what the country has become and what it maybe was when you were a child. So that's my main motivation for coming to Mexico. For, like you said, in chaos is liberty. And the more chaos we have here in Mexico, the better. And liberty is born by living and let living and not being bothered by Uncle the Crappy, the Shitty, the Sam. A lot of Americans may not like what I just said, but I don't care. I live in Mexico because Mexico is what the United States, at least in the liberty aspect, used to be. I came to Mexico 11 years and 7 months ago. I have been teaching and living in Mexico since I came. I have lived in several different parts of Mexico. At the moment, I'm living in Querétaro, um, and I am teaching online. Um, Last month, I made $1,650 online teaching and $585 in doing translations.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I can translate from English to German and back again, and from English to Hebrew and back again. My total amount was $2,235 or 39,300 pesos, more or less.
Okay. And would you say that that is enough to live in Mexico?
That is so much more than what I need to live in Mexico. Uh, I just got my first rent increase in the last 4 years from $230 to $250 for my apartment here in Mexico. Just an aside, very quickly. Anyone out there who does not think that what Jose says he can live on and what I can live on is not true, uh, don't listen to the expert expats. They are the not real expats. They're the ones who transfer their American life to Mexico, and they have no idea of the true Mexico. Jose is giving you the straight stuff when it comes to real Mexico.
There's a straight no chaser, right?
Yep, absolutely.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate what you're saying, and I really appreciate, what you're saying about me, but what you're also saying just in general, because that's the truth. You know what I mean? Like I oftentimes, I just, have to watch other videos, of other people that live in Mexico, interviews or what have you. And it's just so different. You know what I mean? The reality is that, like you said, there's a lot of us that live out here, and a lot of us, like for example, you've been living here for a long time. You've been living here before it was a cool thing, back, right? Yeah. And, you came out here again back in 2012, which again, it seems like it was yesterday, but it's a while ago. It's already a long time. Again, well, yeah, 11 years and 7 months, right? So, but
Yep.
look, but that goes to show you again how grateful and happy you are living here. That you are still, to the day, thinking of when you came out here. For me, it was basically the same thing. I'm here 5 years and was it 3 months or something like that. So, because it's so true. Once you're out here, you realize, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like whatever happened to this life in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like, you come to Mexico, and the way things are in Mexico, the way life is in Mexico, is the way it used to be back in the U.S. Again, I'm only 42 years old. I'm not that old.
I'm 64.
Yeah, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that, and even then, you know what I mean? I grew up still in that world, in the world that.
Yep.
It was, very different. Anyways, things have just changed. And, for some people, they like to change. They want to be in the USA. They want to live that life. That's fine, But for other people that, I don't know, maybe we're
No,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah, maybe we're old fashioned or whatever it is, and we like saying things a certain way. Hey, we can come out here to Mexico, right? And we can find that life out here in Mexico. In fact, can you share a little bit more about, what it is, what exactly, how do you do it, for example? Because again, you just told us, okay, I come out here, I teach some English, that's it. But the regular viewer that's watching this is like, okay, yeah, that's awesome. I want to do that. How can I do that? So maybe guide them or give them tips or talk to them about
Okay.
that, because that's like, believe it or not, the main thing that stops people from coming out here is income, is trying to figure out how to make money. And not everybody, can be a digital nomad per se. And but go ahead, just guide
Well,
us.
first, first of all, um, there are a lot of, if you go to job websites like Indeed, and it's .mx, and if you go to Glassdoor, which is another job website, and you do it .mx, and you will find many, many online uh, jobs for teachers. There's more online jobs for teachers than you could imagine. And I teach for two separate language schools here in Mexico. Mostly, I teach the schools that I work for. We teach engineers from many of the international manufacturing companies that are now based here in Mexico, many of them here in the city of Querétaro.
Now, can I ask
And
you a quick question? Can I ask you a quick question?
yeah,
Um, do you have to know how to be a teacher to do this stuff? Because there's some people out there that never, I don't know. Were you a teacher or were
um,
you a?
let me say this. If you are a native English speaker and you can go online and just put in ESL, English as a second language. You can get all the education you need and all the resources you need. If you spend a month just studying online, you don't need anything else. And if someone asks you whether you have a TEFL, teaching English as a foreign language, just say you do. Just say you do.
And that's it.
They don't ask, they never ask, they've never asked me for the thing. Now, I happen to have a master's degree from the University of Massachusetts that I always send with my CV, but they never ask for it.
Okay. And by the way, the
So,
master's degree in teaching or something else?
a master's degree in teaching English
Okay.
as a second
Well,
language.
that's fine. That might be why. But okay, no, but that's okay. Look, I mean, again, I want to make sure, you know what I mean? I don't want to give people false hopes. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that people, you know,
Right.
again, there's a lot of people that fall into your category that
Well,
they can do that. Yeah.
I'll
And
tell you.
by the way, but you know, just to interject, I don't want to be interrupting 100 times throughout the video, so I apologize ahead of time for everyone listening. But real quick, I do know that, like what you were saying, you know, there are tons of people out there, you know, that do teach. And you know they just get that little certification, you know, like you said, whether it's a ESL or the TFL or whatever it's called, you know, and that's it. And they barely even ask for that, you know what I mean? And just like everything else out there when it comes to Mexico. And by the way, those websites that you mentioned, you know, we're going to provide them down below in the, you know, in the description in the comments section. But what I wanted to ask you is that, are there other kinds of jobs on there or only teaching jobs?
There are many different types of jobs. There are translation jobs. There are, this is something for people who don't want to do teaching. There are a lot of virtual executive assistance jobs for people who want to be secretaries or something similar. They can come down and I have a friend here in Querétaro. She's Mexican, but she's completely fluent in English. And she has three separate executives who travel around the world, and she does the executive assistant from her house here in Querétaro.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so that's great because again, that's the big, you know, what is it, like a big lifesaver for a lot of people that now, you know, again, they can find something on there. And by the way, advice from me, and I'm sure from you as well. If you are thinking about coming down here and doing something like that, get that job first. Make sure you get some income first, and then once you get
Absolutely.
it, then you're good to go. Everything else, you know, is easy peasy.
In fact, I would say that if you're going to do something like that, get it set up 3 months before you come down, put some money in your bank so that when you come down, I'm sorry you had to come down with only 1,500. Uh, please don't have to struggle like my good friend Jose had to.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's the thing. You know, I was working from the minute I landed. You know, that's why I was also recording videos right off the bat because I was already in that flow. But yeah, you know, don't make it any harder on yourself. If you can, you know, save some money, you know what I mean, and start practicing and do all that stuff, you know, just get comfortable. Then once you're out here, it really will be like a vacation because that thing about money is not going to be a thing anymore, and everything else is just learning how to, you know, whatever, have fun, how to live in Mexico, how to, you know, all the other stuff. And so thank you. You know, that's, yeah, that is some, you know, some great advice. And like another question I want to ask though, you know, it just came to mind because I noticed that you were saying that some of these websites are .mx. So what does that mean? That means that they're Mexico based? I mean,
Well,
so do you need like a work visa or?
well, Indeed is in many different countries.
Okay.
So what it is, it's www.indeed.com.mx. So it's specifically for Mexico.
Right, right. Okay, but okay, the question is, if you're working for a Mexican, right? A Mexican company, a Mexican whatever, how does it work when it comes to a work visa? Do they ask you for one? Is it necessary? Remember, you're doing online work.
If it is an online job, the Mexican officials will never bother you. It is because what happens is usually when you first come here, you don't have a bank account immediately. You may already have your temporary visa, but you don't have a bank account. And you can have them send the money to your PayPal account. And then when you open up your Mexican bank account, then you can transfer the money into the account.
Oh, okay, okay. So, long story short, what I mean? Because again, I do talk about these subjects on the channel. Okay, so honestly, even it doesn't really matter because you're actually getting paid in dollars, I guess, right? And you're getting paid to your U.S. account, so that means it's really just U.S. income, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's just regular U.S. taxes. So you're still, so even though you're working, through these companies, you're working through Indeed, which is the one that pays you out. I guess is this how it works, or these websites are the ones that pay you, or they pay you directly, or they just pay you to your U.S. account. They pay you to your U.S. account.
Um, that used to happen, but now since I've been in the country so long, I have a Mexican
Correct.
bank
Correct.
account
Okay.
now, and now the money is sent to the account. But one thing that people don't know, if you if you make under half a million pesos in a year, you do not owe anything to SAT. And not only that, the Mexican government basically looks the other way when it comes to expats, unless your income goes over that half a million pesos, they're not going to bother you.
Okay. I mean, makes sense. I mean, it totally. I mean, there's thresholds in the U.S. Tax system, the whole thing. Okay. Oh wow, thanks. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that's very useful information for a lot of people. But again, just to reiterate, everything sounds great. By the way, as you're, all this information. So to reiterate, you show up here. Even if you're on your FMM visa or you're, again, you only have a temporary residency but no bank account, it really doesn't matter because they basically pay you directly to your PayPal, which is linked to your US account. So it's basically they're paying you to the U.S. And so it's just, you're just doing regular taxes, through the U.S., for that money. And then that's it. I mean, it's really not a big deal. Once you're here, like you've been here for a long time, like me, I've been here for a long time. Well, then it's just direct, why, have it go through all these circles. You can just have it, deposited into your Mexican account and then just, again, deal with SAT
Correct.
if appropriate. You know what I mean? Because like you said, there's a threshold, unless you're making over half a million. And again, the reality is that SAT doesn't really bother Mexican citizens either. It's only when you have like an established business and things like that. And that's it. You know what I mean? But
Right.
other than that.
Yeah, and just like you've said in a lot of videos, the great thing here in Mexico is you can set up your business and it's informal, and the Mexican government respects people. They don't bother people like Uncle the Crappy the does.
No, but yeah, I mean, yes, I talk about it so much on the channel, and look, again, there's another YouTuber out there. His name is the Nomad Capitalist, and he talks about it all the time. Just go where you're treated best. That's it. It's as simple as that. And yeah,
Thank you for bringing him up. He is one of my favorite people to watch, along with you.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, he's a great guy. I love. I mean, I never met him personally. It'd be awesome to maybe one day link up with him. But yeah, he's basically he does what I do, but for millionaires.
Yeah. You know what though?
Yeah.
I don't want to be as rich as him because when you get that rich, it becomes too complicated.
100%. Like a great man once said, "More money, more problems." Right. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, just so everyone knows, before I started doing this online stuff, I have taught at a Mexican university in Oaxaca for 3 years. I taught nursing students, young Mexican nursing students. I've lived in Mexico City for 10 months. Uh, Mexico City is great to visit, but I don't want to live there again. Just like Boston and New York City, don't want to live there. Visiting is great. I've lived in San Luis Potosi as well. And I have visited almost all parts of Mexico except for the Baja.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. Wow. Okay, and I'm guessing you love Mexico, huh?
Uh, you might say that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great, man. That's great. Well, I mean, I think you said a lot. I mean, do you have any final words, any final thoughts that you would like to share with the audience? Again, by the way, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty, your candor. Thank you so much. Seriously, this actually went better than what I thought. I thought it was just going to be a boring interview talking about, what is it, work, which that's what it was originally about, but it turned out to be a lot better, because we got to meet another.
Final thoughts to all the Americans and Canadians out there. Abandon those countries, As one thing I want to interject here. My father died in 2008, but before he died, he brought me and my sister together and he told me, you guys, America used to be America. It's no longer. I'm too old to move or to do anything. You need to abandon this country because if a government promises something and doesn't deliver, then if they are not truthful to you, then you have no loyalty to them. Your grandparents came from Russia and Poland more than 100 years ago. It's time for you to move on. And that's what both my sister and I have done. My sister lives in Colombia with my niece and nephew. I got them teaching jobs over there because I used to live in Colombia. And I live here in Mexico. Do not accept second best. Do not accept, oh, this is how things are. The land of the free and the home of the brave. What a joke. That is as much bull crappers as you can possibly do. So I know a lot of Americans are going to throw things at their computer screen when they hear this from me. I was born in the United States in 1959. I should have left 10 years earlier than I did. The main reason was my father was still alive. But once my father was gone, there was no reason to stay. And guys, this guy is giving you the truth. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to come on, because I wanted to reinforce his message.
Thank you. I really appreciate the kind words. And, to me, again, I don't know. I'm just being myself. I'm just telling people, the way things, the way I see it. And I appreciate that I'm not the only one out there that thinks this way, that, I'm not crazy. I know a lot of people in the audience feel the same way. I talk to a lot of people in the audience. A lot of them, they want to leave, they want to come, to Mexico or wherever. And they have a similar situation like you had and things like that. And I get it, you know what I mean? Like, to me, one of the, I'll be honest, and like, I don't think I've talked too much about this, but, one of the reasons it made it easier for me to move out here is because, well, I didn't have many things tying me down back home at all. You know what I mean? It was more kind of like, it chewed me up and spit me out, and I'll just leave it at that. And so I was like, forget it. I got no ties to anything out here or anyone. Why stick around any further? And I came out here. But again, honestly, and I've said it before, that one of the reasons I didn't come out earlier as well is because I did have a few ties, with a few friends and a few, people out there that really did love me and care for me. But at the end of the day, as things got worse in the USA, my situation got worse. I was like, I can't be a burden on these people. I got to get out of here. I got to go find greener pastures. And that's how I ended up here. And yeah, it was only with $1,500. But man, you know what I mean? Like, holy crap. You know what I mean? Like, wow. You know what I mean? What an adventure. And I'm glad I'll do it over a million times over. And, to me, it was just, it's amazing. Anyways, enough about me. Yeah.
Yeah, just to reinforce what I said.
Yeah.
Um, and I will say what our mutual admiration for Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist: go where you're treated best. I have lived in Mexico almost 12 years. I've never been stopped by a cop. I have never been harassed by the Mexican government, not once. How many times you told the story about your harassment? I've told my story. How many times do you have to be stopped by the jackboots
Yeah.
before you say enough's enough?
Yeah. And by the way, you told me the story off camera, off recording. But yeah, you had a similar situation and uncalled for and unnecessary. In fact, it was crazier than my story. And again, how many of us know someone that has been affected in one shape, form, or another, or they themselves have been affected by one shape, form, or another by that boot? You know what I mean? And, we'll just leave it at that because, again, like you said, and like Andrew says, just go where you're treated best. And, it might not be Mexico. It might be somewhere else. But, again, go find that somewhere else if you can. Because, as I've been saying recently, and I think a lot of you guys out there in the audience are figuring it out, it's just going to get more and more difficult each and every day. So make sure you, plan accordingly, all right? Because otherwise you might not be able to get out. All right. So, any final words, or do you want to just?
I would just say, go where you're treated best, but enjoy your life. We're on this planet for such a short period of time. There is not enough time to be wasted to work 80, 90 hours a week just so you can be on the treadmill and so that the rich, excuse my language, assholes can force us so that they can have the great life. I have a great life because I made the decision to tell those people to go to hell.
That's very eloquent, But yes, and by the way, you mentioned something real quick there that caught my eye. How many hours do you work a week, give or take? Because again, you're right. A lot of people work out there, 60, 80 hours a week, and they don't even think anything of it. So how many hours a week do you make? Because you make over $2,000, so.
Right now, I'm working 24 hours a week. And if I throw in, that's for my teaching. If I throw in my translation, maybe another 5.
The part-time job.
I work less than 30 hours a week. I have never worked more than 30 hours a week here in Mexico. And I probably never will.
Yeah.
Because this is Mexico.
Yeah. You don't have to. If you want to, if you're crazy like me and you like to, suffer and you want to work a lot of hours, yeah, go for it. You know what I mean? But you don't have to. Again, you do 30 hours and you make plenty. For a single guy, with a girlfriend, whatever, you're, again, very happy and very, again, quality of life, as you were saying, is very, very
Absolutely.
high. And, that's it. Again, just go where you're treated best. We'll keep repeating that. And like you were saying, at the end of the day, you gotta have the cojones, right? You gotta have the balls. You gotta, or the whatever, the mammary glands, whatever you got over there. But you gotta just do it. You know what I mean? And especially if you're watching this video, if you watch all the way through, and you're still thinking about it, stop thinking about it. Start planning. Start figuring it out, okay? And that's it. And just make it happen. And in fact, start applying for that passport if you haven't already. I think it's like an 8-month waiting list these days. But anyways, all right. I think we'll end it there. We'll leave it there. Again, thank you so much, Aarron. I really, really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your interview. Please, down below, all the viewers, let us know in the comments what you think. If you got any questions for Aarron or, whatever. Anything you have to say about this video. Because, again, it's something new that we haven't done before. And if you guys like it, hey, maybe I can interview one of you guys out there and we can keep this going. All right? So I think that's it. So with that being said, again, you already know the deal, guys. Don't forget, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and all right, guys, bye. All right, bye, Aarron. Hey, you gotta wave to the audience. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye.